All right, welcome back to Sunrise City. Yes, indeed, as you've seen, the daily's highlights the activity that went down yesterday with the Port Harcourt Refinery. Well, we've got Mr. Dapo Shegun here with us. He's the Chief Financial Officer for NNPC Limited. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Well, yes, congratulations are in order for at least activities going on yesterday, as much as the country knows. But go ahead and talk to us about some of these things. I know that a lot of work went into all of this, but then you also saw some of the controversies that went on yesterday about the true state of what went on. Much later, we saw the statements as well explaining certain scenarios. So if you just give us a little bit of a background, how we got here.
This journey started a few years ago for the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt Refinery. And as you know, there are two refineries in Port Harcourt. There's a 60,000 barrels a day refinery, which is the older one, and a 150,000 barrels a day refinery, which is newer. The strategy was to pick the low-hanging fruit, which is the smaller refinery, and try to bring it back on stream earlier than the much larger 150,000 barrels a day refinery, and that's what we've done. So basically, the 60,000 barrels per day refinery, which we call the old refinery, is back on stream. It's working at 70% capacity, and it's producing a series of products, including naphtha, which we blend into PMS. All of the products are on spec, and the regulator was there yesterday to witness this.
Okay, so at the moment, because much of the statement is out there, but just for you to explain as well, breaking it down, we're blending, not refining, are we?
When you say refining, there are stages of refining. The primary stage is the crude distillation unit. That unit basically produces what we call middle distillates. So no CDU produces PMS in the form that's filled into vehicles. So that's the first unit, and that's the unit that we have up and running in the whole refinery. Now it produces a product called naphtha, and that naphtha is blended with crack C5 to give gasoline. So it's a process that happens in all refineries. No refinery CDU produces PMS for vehicular consumption. So it is the process. It is the standard process in refineries worldwide. Now there are secondary units now that will enhance, that can enhance the PMS yield of a refinery, but that process is the same with any other refinery currently producing PMS in Nigeria, I assure you.
So are we not buying whether it's crack C5 of naphtha, and then we blend it to come up with diesel? Because we're not...
No, diesel is a middle distillate, so you get diesel straight from the CDU.
Okay, which is in the old refinery.
You get, well, I said every CDU produces middle distillates.
Okay.
Diesel is a middle distillate, just like naphtha. So you get diesel, you get naphtha, you get DPK straight from the CDU. So PMS requires a secondary process. It does not come. You don't get PMS from the primary unit.
But we can't get it from the old refinery. It has to be from the new one when it comes on stream, is it?
Well, the second process that will enhance your PMS yield is going to occur in the new refinery.
Okay, so at the moment, the old refinery cannot give us PMS.
The old refinery is a CDU.
Okay.
No CDU will give you PMS. PMS is a secondary product. It's not a primary product of a CDU, of a refinery.
Okay. So at least from the layman's terms, so they can understand it, this old refinery cannot produce or refine PMS.
That's not the way it is. You've got When you say refine, what does that mean?
And I think that's what the question is really when you're looking at the Nigerian people right now. I want us to be able to talk to people because that's where the controversy is coming from. They need to understand what blending is. They need to understand what refining is and the timelines as well. You know, so those are some of the questions that people have. And if you could just help us understand what that means so that the people can understand what's going on.
So all of the activities that go on a refinery is called refining. When you refine, simple English, you're enhancing the value of the product. Whether you refine by running it through the CDU, whether you refine by running it thereafter blending, whether you refine by taking it through the CRU, you are improving the quality of the product. That's what refining means. So it would be mischievous to say, are we refining, are we blending? Refining, so the products called naphtha, which you can go straight from gasoline, is not at the level that you can put it into the vehicles we run today.
Okay.
But you can put it into the whole carburetor vehicles. They would run on that product. Yeah. But the vehicles we run today need finer products, which we now blend the crack C5 in the straight run gasoline to produce the PMS that is used by the vehicles we have today.
Okay, so when we look at the Port Harcourt refinery, just walk us through the process of what is actually going on. Crude is being refined in whatever definition of what refining means. Just walk us through that process and the timeline as well.
What do you mean by the timeline?
So for some people who have been criticizing the situation online, they're like, wait, when did the refining happen that we're picking up products almost, we're just told that the products are ready. When did the refining happen? Just so they can understand how this works.
Yeah, it's important to understand that critics would always say what they want to say. We're focused on what we have to deliver. If we're delivering it, we're fine with that. We can live with critics. We don't have a problem with that. This refinery actually came on stream a couple of months back. We fired it. And with every process plant, starting the process plant up can take multiple iterations. It's basically a column. It's like a kettle. You put crude in it, boil it, and so it goes up to almost 400 degrees. So you run the crude through it. You start heating it up like your oven. It's at some particular temperature that it begins to boil the crude, and the products would rise and be collected. Now, what happened a couple of months ago? We started it. We were increasing the temperature as you'd always do. We found that there was a problem, and we brought it down. So we've done that over and over again. You don't start up and just leave it running. You start up and watch it. We're talking very high temperatures. Anything can happen to the materials that you're heating up. And if you notice anything, you notice a crack somewhere or whatever it is, you stop it, you bring it back down, and then fix whatever it is and start again. So that's what we've done over the past 2 months. So when you say we just started and when did the refining happen? Refining happens in an instant. Once you get to that temperature where the crude is boiled and the products come out, that's the refining. So it's not like it has to take 10 days for you to refine. No, it's a process plant. Put in the crude, boil it, and the products come out. That's basically what happens. So it's not a situation of When did we start, and when did the products come out?
So this 1.8 million barrels, I mean, I know...
barrels.
What's the capacity? Sorry.
60,000 barrels a day.
Yeah, so this is like just going to serve that locality, Port Harcourt, isn't it?
Well, it all depends on what the consumption in the area is. We know what the volumes are. It should serve that locality, and it may extend a little beyond that locality, but we know what the volumes are. We have 1.4 million liters of PMS coming out of the plant. We have 1.5 million liters of AGO, which definitely will go beyond the immediate Port Harcourt area. Consumption of AGO is not as high as consumption of PMS. And then we have LPFO as well.
Okay, so what date is the new one? Because I thought I heard it's not going to
I'm not going to give you dates. I'm not going to be
no timeline.
I'm not going to be pulled into that game. See, it's good to be fair, and you know, everyone comes up bashing NNPC here and there, and I wonder, I've been in NNPC for 8 years. Before then, I was with Chevron for 25 years. We demarket our own very company, a company owned by all of us, and then you say the company is not performing, the company is doing this, the company is doing that.
No, the background
hold on, because I need to talk about this.
Yeah, sure.
How do we attract the best people to come and work for our companies when we keep demarketing it? I've worked in NNPC for 8 years, and before then, like I said, I worked with Chevron for 25 years across the world. So it's a situation I see that actually saddens me. NNPC is moved from a corporation of government to a limited liability company. NNPC, by the PIA, should be looking to do an IPO. Every Nigerian is an investor in NNPC because the NNPC is currently owned by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated and the Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated. Do you take your own company and start to demarket it? What does that do for you?
So the background is this is not the marketing. Where I was driving at is this. Now, we have this old refinery.
Yeah.
Is on stream. And then the new refinery, new Port Harcourt refinery, is going to come on stream. So I was leading to ask, now, with the combined effect of both refineries, when they do start functioning optimally, right, what will be the comparative advantage for Nigerians, considering Dangote Refinery is also there, producing millions of barrels? That's the ultimate. That's where I'm headed.
Okay, thank you, because the dates debacle has been very distracting.
I'm not focused on
so
the
dates. I just want us to go into that, and that's the issue for me. The Dangote Refineries in Lagos, so this is all about proximity. It's all about proximity. Dangote Refinery refines the same crude that we refine, which costs about 800 naira per liter for the crude alone, unrefined, unprocessed. So Dangote Refinery refines in Lagos, we refine in Port Harcourt. The advantage we have is the advantage of proximity to the market, to the Port Harcourt market. So there really isn't any issue with that. And for all, I mean, basically we all want Nigeria to continue to build on being a net exporter of petroleum products. So Dangote is closer to is on the coast like Port Harcourt. Mm-hmm. Dangote can export, Port Harcourt Refinery can export. The ultimate thing is to have more production locally than we can consume.
So is this going to affect, and in what way, the price of the product?
So this pricing conversation has been an interesting one. What are the components of the price? I just told you that the crude unrefined is 800 naira per liter. A barrel of crude is about $80, give or take. You have 159 liters in a barrel of crude. Let's approximate that to 160 liters. That gives you 50 cents per liter. At 1,600 naira to the dollar, that's 800 naira. So the crude itself, unrefined, is 800 naira.
Okay.
Then you talk about the refiner's margin. The refiner has to make some money, has costs, has to fire the plants, has to fuel the plants, has to run the plant, and has all of these overheads to pay for. So when you layer that on it, then you move it on to the wholesaler. It's transported, whether by vessel or by trucks, whatever. So the transporter also has his margin. The wholesaler has his margin. The retailer has his margin. There's also costs for the regulators. There's statutory fees to be paid. So when you look at all of that, what will the Port Harcourt refinery do differently than what Dangote refinery, for example, is doing today? It's closer to the people in Port Harcourt. It will cost, if it costs X amount to transport the PMS from Lagos, where Dangote refinery is located, to Port Harcourt, that's where the savings will come. But that is very marginal. The cost of transportation is very marginal in the cost build-up of PMS.
So, but at the end of the day, Port Harcourt, Warri, BUA, if all of them are operational, they have to think about, how do I make sure the customers come to me to buy?
Absolutely.
So that shouldn't we expect at least some sort of variation in those prices?
I've just said to you that there will be, but they are marginal. They're marginal because the main cost is the crude. There's nothing you can do with the crude. Crude already is 800 naira per liter, unprocessed. So where will the savings come from?
I mean, it's a very interesting dynamic that we have meeting about 2.8% of the local demand for PMS in the country. What should we be looking out for? I mean, the Port Harcourt Refinery is going to come on board. It's going to come on board. We kept hearing it for a very long time, and we kept waiting and waiting, deadline after deadline. Now, with everything that's going on, and everyone expected, NNPC is excited about the fact that we're going to be having more refineries coming on board, and when this competition hits, we will actually see a drop in the price of petrol. But you're saying, marginal based on what we have right now. I want you to be able to talk about the prospects for the future when it comes to the refineries. And another thing, the transparency that people have been asking for when it comes to NNPCL. And opening up his books, let us understand what's really going on. Just speak to us a little bit about the prospects for the future and the calls for accountability from the NNPC. Are these calls very, are they important to the NNPC?
I talked about Nigeria being a net exporter of petroleum products. Every viable refinery that comes up is going to support that drive. So every refinery is encouraged to come up and produce. And I did talk about proximity. Proximity plays a key part because there are costs that you really can't do anything about. And there are some costs that you can do something about. If the refinery is located in a particular area and it's able to serve the people of those areas at a little less cost than a refinery that is remotely located. So it's good to have those refineries in all of those locations, providing primarily petroleum products to the people in those localities. So there isn't any issue about that. The more the refineries we have, the better for us. There's a market stretching all the way to South Africa. So there's a huge market that's currently being served by refineries in Europe. So there's really nothing that's going to constrain any refinery that's properly run to get business.
All right, we're winding down now. So in terms, does this at least address the question of scarcity of the product? We shouldn't.
It's not about, so scarcity of the products was a function of an unsustainable situation. And I'll explain that to you. In my role as EVP downstream, which I held for a little over a year, it was a battle every day. Now, how did we, in that 1 year, we had to meet, we had 2 meetings every day, including weekends, to ensure that we get products out. And I'll explain to you why. The pricing of the products was not market reflective, one. And secondly, there was a challenge accessing FX to pay for the products. So we had a situation that we had to manage very carefully, and to make sure that there was products across the country. It wasn't an easy job. When you drive into, at that time, when you drive into the gas station and you fill up, you take it for granted. But I can tell you that you had tens of people working every day, meeting twice a day to make sure that that happens. Because it wasn't driven by market. It wasn't driven by market. And when you have any situation that isn't driven by market, it can't be efficient. That's why we talk about markets. Market drives efficiency. Now that the prices are fully deregulated, that is what's going to make the difference, not the fact that Port Harcourt Refinery is coming upstream, onstream, or anything, or Dangote Refinery is coming onstream. When you have market forces determining prices, it will force competition over time, and you'll get and the people will get the benefit of it.
All right, we have to thank you for coming on. Mr. Dapo Segun is the Chief Financial Officer for NNPC Limited. Thank you, and all the best to you and the team.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're back in a moment. Stay on with us.